We have to talk about RDNA 4. It was not in the press conference. They put out a separate press release. I am like 99% sure that AMD just decided last minute we shouldn't announce RDNA 4 fully until we fully understand what we're competing with. Let's delay it a week. And actually, on that note, I was actually messaged today by a contact that was just briefed by AMD representatives. This contact said that they should unveil RDNA 4 fully, or at least close to fully, just like a week from now. That's interesting. It still sounds like it might launch in January or something. It really doesn't sound like something went wrong so much as AMD didn't know if they're ready to talk about RDNA 4 until they fully understood the competition. That is really what I believe happened with it being cut there.
It's definitely a bit of a mess of for an event like this, you'd plan for weeks, right? Like,
yeah,
just randomly cutting it off or moving something off because of some 45-minute thing, I think is crazy. But if the 45-minute thing is true, I think AMD could have just got a bigger slot or something, or just be upfront and say, hey, we're going to launch this thing, a week from now, or say something like that doesn't imply this weird shutdown, cancel kind of thing vibe going on.
I don't believe any of that. I think they were afraid to announce pricing before NVIDIA. They caught wind of how insane NVIDIA's presentation is going to be. I might also say, from a more pessimistic point of view, maybe AMD saw the generated frame stuff and said, we need our charts to have more fake frames on them. They may have said, we need to go away and do that. I don't know. And by the way, I also think then NVIDIA went, oh, so AMD's not announcing pricing? Fine, we'll just go to our minimum price we're willing to do for these cards and see how AMD likes making us go first. That is really what I think.
They could have mentioned the cards without pricing.
They could have teased a new event. Like, if it's happening in a week from now, just tell us the event's in a week.
The vibe I get is like, we don't care about our GPUs that much, right? Because like, compared to CPUs, yes. And that's not, if you want to grow the GPU market, you need to show you care about the GPUs. Like, announce it without pricing. Because like Power Color did this tweet where they're like, hey guys, we're at CS2, we're going to have GPUs or whatever. But they weren't even in the keynote, right? You think, man, I feel bad for this OEM that came to CES for the whole point of their GPUs being announced to show them off. And they're like, hey, we're here too. And it got cut. So like, I almost feel bad for the OEM partners more than AMD.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure AMD's doing at least as much, if not significantly more Oppo research than I'm doing for my YouTube channel. So I assume they expected the 5070, to be a certain price. They expected DLSS 4 to be interesting, but they didn't know NVIDIA is going to claim AI face stuff and all this crazy things. And I think they said, well, we can't completely remove a press announcement because we literally have AIBs at the show floor showing off 16 gigabyte cards. So like, what's the minimum we can show without showing anything so that it doesn't look completely ridiculous? There's AIBs there.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit concerned about the keynote retraction kind of showing their hand a little bit here on the performance.
Like, were they about to announce something stupid?
Like, I also wonder if the AMD GPU traditional raster performance is better, I would come out and say, hey, these are real frames and we're rendering them this much faster at this percentage. Like, if they can catch NVIDIA in by the way, our raster performance isn't actually that faster from last gen, they could have a angle there from the media standpoint. But if people really buy this fake frame stuff and stuff like that, they might be in serious trouble. It's even if the card is a lot faster, is their features going to be better than DLSS and some of the other stuff where it's at now? And that's the real question.
So I just now in my head started putting myself in AMD's shoes, and hear me out, everybody. I can now actually kind of see why they don't know what to do, because we know Blackwell's launching in 3 weeks or something. And I know that in real performance, the 5070 is probably a little stronger than a 4070 Ti. Seems like the 5090 will be 35 to 50 something percent faster. We'll see. I mean, they only showed a couple of games that they hand selected faster than the 4090 and so on and so forth. But that's not what NVIDIA portrayed. And so you've got this situation where if you're AMD, and Nvidia was honest about real world performance outside of using fake frames, then you could just go, oh, well, we're going to compare the 9070 XT to the 4080 or the 4070 Ti Super because we know that Nvidia admitted the 5070s around that performance. But they haven't. Nvidia claimed the 5070 is as strong as a 4090, even though it isn't, and we're not going to have real benchmarks of it for 3 weeks. So what do you announce if you're AMD? Do you announce let's say it's even better than the 7900 XT, all right? But I think it'll be around there. Like, even if it was XTX performance, what do? Say better than the 4080? Because then all the press is going to go, but that doesn't matter. The 5070 is stronger than the 4090. So actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I suspect that's what AMD took a week to figure out is how do we portray this performance? Because wow, are they going crazy with the fake frames and the crazy claims that they're making? We've got to figure out a strategy and how to like accurately portray the value we think we're bringing without people just being misled or something.
Also, if they want to go the angle of, well, fake frames are bad, if they added fake frames in their FSR 4, they can't exactly go and say, hey, fake frames are bad, but we added them in FSR 4. They're kind of stuck in this trap of seeing if Nvidia's like, is there a gap between raster performance versus fake frames and upscaling? And they might be really hard stuck on waiting until, because like, how do you even market this thing, right? Like FSR is 4 great. Like, let's say they added 3 generated frames instead of 4 or 2 instead of 3. They're going to be behind on the numbers so badly. And if reviewers like if they plainly trust the FPS number, which has been done for the last 10 years, people just go based on the FPS number. On the paper, they might be screwed, but the card might actually be not bad if it is properly marketed and properly explained. But they're kind of caught in this thing of, we might be doing frame generation, but NVIDIA is doing more frame generation. How do people compare this traditionally? And that's going to be where it's stuck. Until that 5090 performance of the 5070 or whatever, or 4090 performance of the 5070, until that gets debunked, how are you supposed to announce, unless you release charts or whatever, but your charts are going to be comparing last gen because you don't have access to the next gen. So you're stuck with
and
charts.
Nvidia's acting like even the 5060, though that's not announced, is somehow faster than a 4090. You can't compare it to last gen. Honestly, I'm starting to realize maybe that, as dishonest as it is, maybe that was a brilliant move by Nvidia to just be like, you know what? Now you can't even compare our cards. No one will believe you until it's debunked.
AMD can't come out and say, hey, this is so much better than a 4090 if a lower card is faster than a 4090. So they have to prove the lie. And it's like Nvidia handpicked the best charts to put them in the worst position. Like either the charts didn't make Nvidia look good, or they intentionally were careful to avoid the AMD comparison. So it's kind of hard to market a card like that if you're in this trap, like a perfectly constructed trap.
Yeah, and now I think that's why AMD delayed their announcement. And here's what I worry. I really worry. And again, I don't know how good FSR 4 is. I honestly know, or at a minimum, I haven't asked anyone or read anything about it for many months. But let's say AMD was going to add fake frames, and let's say they were going to have, like you said, 3 times instead of 4 times. Is AMD now going back and they're like, just add a stupid mode that's 6 frames? Like, even if it's horrible, add the 6 frame mode. And I'm just worried they're going to do that, come back in a week and go, oh, well, we have 6 times the frames, and it's actually 50% faster than a 7900 XTX if you use this crazy mode. That is what I would suspect they're going to do, because that's the only way I see out of this trap, is to fight fire with fire.
And if they don't have the Reflex 2 or whatever attack that's supposed to counter the latency problem, they could have some fake frames, and they picked a less number of fake frames to go with because they don't have a fix for the latency. And that, not to mention the whole neural shader thing. We really don't know if they have an answer for that. Like, they might be,
or if they need to, does it even work? Because I want to remind people of this. When Nvidia announced the 4060 Ti 8GB, they said because it has GDDR6 or something, 8GB was enough. Well, it wasn't. And then they just didn't even respond to an email after that.
Yeah, so it's very well on the tech side, it's problematic. So major respect to the AMD team, engineers working late in the night trying to figure out how the hell we even announce this thing. And I hope for the best for them, because they'll need it for sure.
I now get why they probably delayed it a week, because do we show more fake frames? Do we not show more fake frames? Do we announce that we're also making some competitor to neural compression, even though we don't even know if their thing will work? DLSS 1 didn't work. How do we know that will work? Like, yeah, they're in an odd position. And if I were at AMD, I would say add more fake frames to the graph. We'll have two charts, two different slides. The first slide will be, the real comparison, but we'll have the dumb thing so we can compare it to Nvidia and say faster than 4090. Like, I guess we have to pretend just like Nvidia is. I really think that's their only option.
Yeah, like we might roast Nvidia about their bad marketing slides.
But then through talking about that, we came to the conclusion, oh shit, they trapped AMD. Actually, that was kind of brilliant.
Like we might roast them about it, but there's probably a reason of why they did it that way, and they know how to support developers. I might, disagree where we think, hey, there could be better support, but they're supporting it better.
Yeah, just because I say they're smart, everybody listening, doesn't mean I think it's ethical. We're not saying it's good, but it was smart.
It's bad for consumers, but it's smart from a business strategy standpoint.
And now a quick word from our channel partner, Mint Mobile.
Hey there, it's Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile. Enticing, right?
That is enticing, Ryan. Well, please make sure you clean that up in the yard. What a funny neighbor to have out there. Great guy. Say hi to Blake for me. I got to do the ad, though, for you. So, anyways, this piece of content is brought to you by Mint Mobile. It's honestly been a very long time since I've looked around at phone plans, but I kind of had to in preparation for this ad. And when I did, I have to admit that some of Mint Mobile's competitors, and I'm not supposed to mention them, but some of them, they just don't want you to see what you're paying for. But not Mint Mobile. They tell you what things cost, what you get, and what limitations there are in a very upfront manner. And that's probably because they know they have nothing to hide, and that's really their greatest selling point. You can get a family plan and a family plan, switch to or from a solo plan, and upgrade it mid-month as you need on whatever phone you already own. And yeah, that's the benefit of Mint Mobile. It's great pricing and flexibility to do whatever you want. And you know what? If you click that link in the description and sign up, it actually does help me quite a lot. It helps this channel a ton since I'm partnering with them. And actually, for a limited amount of time, you will get 50% off Mint Mobile's 12-month unlimited plan if you sign up before the current promotion expires. So you're not only helping the channel, you're also helping yourself if you go to the link in the description. Support Moore's Law is dead by signing up for Mint Mobile today.